Recently I played and made a video essay for Rocket Arena, a party game that was handled poorly at launch and has therefore suffered a fate that I feel it didn't deserve, dipping to just 51 players active on Steam at the time of making this video. And then a few days later, another game that is perhaps tentatively labelled as a party game, but this time a massively multiplayer game, has very clearly enjoyed the total opposite kind of release. Suddenly that game was everywhere I went online, eventually culminating in this, 500,000 people watching it on Twitch. And so I thought that's probably worth checking out. And so this is Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Content like this is made especially possible by the Board of Awesome. These heroes support the channel on Patreon and they're dearly appreciated. And we're nearing that 50k goal for the channel, currently just over 49,000. So if you feel like watching some more content like this from me, subscribing would be epic. I hope you enjoy the video. So obviously, that 500,000 viewers on Twitch figure couldn't last. Yet regardless, as of right now, it's still the most watched game on Twitch. Really impressive stuff. So how do you go about describing Fall Guys? And how and why is it completely taking over the internet right now? Well, my best effort so far to sum this game up is it's an online multiplayer competitive platformer party game. Yep, this is not your typical game from one of the usual dominant genres. And I think that's actually part of why it's so popular, because it's a fresh break from the usual tropes and mechanics, with an entirely different tone and gameplay loop from the games that we typically see taking up massive chunks of the gaming player base. Fully released on I believe the 4th of August 2020, Fall Guys has literally just come out. So if you somehow didn't yet know about it, that's understandable, but that ignorance was only going to last for so long due to its sudden explosion in popularity. It's currently available on PC and PlayStation 4, but not on Xbox One or Nintendo Switch, and it's developed by Mediatonic, a British studio who have a history of producing fairly niche or lesser known games. Fall Guys has pretty much become their surprise big arrival onto the mainstream scene, and it's published by Devolver Digital. So, you play as a bean. No, you didn't mishear me. You play as some kind of bean thing that you can aesthetically customize to your taste, competing against other bean things through various obstacle courses and games. Following a basic concept that will be familiar to those of you who've seen game shows like Takeshi's Castle. Each lobby has 60 players at the start. You'll have different rounds to go through, and only a certain amount of players qualify from one round to the next. So you have to finish within that amount, otherwise you're out. And the better you do, the more points or kudos you get. Kudos, however you want to say it. And there ends up being an eventual winner who receives a crown. Now, I haven't yet tasted ultimate victory, I must admit, but I have come close a couple of times in my short time on the game, and it was an absolute rush. So kudos and crowns can be traded in for cosmetics. So outfits, emotes, and things of that nature. The expected in-game transactions that we're all used to by now, with the option for certain items to buy from either in-game currency or purchase via actual money. On top of that, you have a season pass, which again functions as you'd expect. The more you play and the better you do, the more XP you get, and the more you progress through the pass, unlocking rewards. So if you want the game, it's currently priced at £15.99 or something similar in whatever the exchange rate for your currency is, making it not too expensive, but still costing enough that the companies involved are making some serious money from this right now. Now, when I covered Rocket Arena just a few days ago, I said that the game was very clearly failing due to not being released as free to play, when it was clearly a game that was designed around that kind of model. The difference for Fall Guys is that this game just has a lot more to offer. I'm not saying this is the next Fortnite explosion or anything like that. I'm sure interest in the game will almost certainly drop to a pretty large degree at some point, but it's still absolutely worth somewhere around its current price tag, whereas Rocket Arena was not. Fall Guys is a polished experience. It's simple, which means the developers have been able to focus upon really nailing down how it feels and plays. No complex issues to deal with. You can jump, dive, and grab as well as run around, with some collision detection thrown into the mix. The visuals are crisp, clear, and bold, no crazy effects, just solid color, basic shapes, and shadows. It's attractive, at least for many, and hits all the right notes for a game of this nature. Fall Guys doesn't need any extra frills or flair, it just needs pretty much exactly what it's got. Now, there's a solid amount of and variation of the games or rounds, some of them solo and some of them team-based, so you don't feel as if you're absolutely constantly just doing the same thing. Over time, the novelty of them will of course wear off, and some games or rounds are better than others, but the point remains that it doesn't just feel like you're doing the same variation of a minigame over and over, and you generally get different things to do in later rounds than earlier rounds. It's a solid premise that works and provides an extra incentive to progress. And progressing feels good, genuinely. I had a lot of fun, whether it be getting over the finish line in first or managing to grab that final qualification place. It's satisfying and exciting. So falling short of qualification can be a little frustrating, but for me at least, it's absolutely completely outweighed by the feeling of making it through to the next round. A pretty fantastic trade-off between the feelings of success and failure. And if you do fail, it's no big deal. That feeling can be fleeting with no reason to dwell upon it, as going back to the menu and searching for a fresh game was, at least in my experience, extremely quick. I was back playing another game before I knew it. The only issues I have seen mentioned en masse about matchmaking so far has been that the devs simply didn't expect this level of popularity, so the servers basically couldn't cope and some people just couldn't play, which did result in the game briefly being review bombed on Steam, even though it's just teething problems for the game having just come out, which does again show that some people are incredibly childish, annoying and stupid basically, but it also shows that this is an insane amount of sudden popularity, and it's still now, despite the review bombing, got reviews that Steam overall classifies as very good, which is a great sign. In a world where so much of the gaming space is shooters and battle royales and things of that nature, everything is so intense, hyper skill driven and all that kind of stuff, Fall Guys bucks that trend and offers you something else entirely. Perfectly pick up and play available, while still maintaining an element of competition, endorphin releases and rewards to chase. I think that is, besides the game just being fun and riding a massive wave of positive coverage online, why the game is having fantastic early success. It's a palate cleanser, and a cheap one at that. I don't foresee it being super mega popular for the long term, although if I'm wrong then great, but this is likely a fairly short-lived moment of mega fandom. Regardless, it's success all the same, and sets in place a solid foundation for this game to have a healthy existence in the long term, even if interest does drop off. And I can totally see people coming back to try new modes and things as they no doubt get added into the game. It's not the sort of thing that most people are going to play day in and day out, but it's awesome for some fun with friends, for a break between games, for killing some time, for a drinking game before a night out, or whatever it may be. It's a genuine party game that's also massively multiplayer, and I highly recommend it if any of what you've seen or heard seems like fun to you. It's the price of a meal in a restaurant or a few drinks down the pub. As side notes to close, it also has great music for what the game is. Whoever is running the Fall Guys Twitter account is doing a great job, and playing the game itself feels like you're genuinely in a game show. Go and check it out. That's my message. Whether it be buying it or checking out a stream or watching more videos on it or whatever. It's doing so well that it even already has some crappy knockoffs being produced, like Fall Gang and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why Fall Guys Knockout is taking over the internet, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you want to see more video essays and reviews and things of this nature, then hit the like button and subscribe. It would be massively appreciated. And all the links to my social media like Twitter, where I post a lot, my Discord, all that kind of stuff is in the description and my pinned comments. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters. So Battlefield 6, or whatever it ends up being called, 100% must not fail. It's that simple, because Battlefield as a franchise likely can't pull through another poorly received title.